Welcome to this week's edition of Office Hours. My name is Austin Bergen. I am the product manager for PAI Reports. This week, we're going to be going over our Ad Terminal Wizard. Our Ad Terminal Wizard is the place where you will go and actually build terminals, add them into our system. Luckily, in this case, I was able to get a deal done for a restaurant just down the street from me. I'm going to be borrowing my buddy's ATM. He's going to let me use that machine in exchange for $1 of the surcharge. I'm going to be loading the machine, servicing the machine. The merchant does not want any of the surcharge. This deal is phenomenal. Almost too good to be true. It's a test terminal. So it is too good to be true. But we're going to go ahead and build this terminal. Get that started. I'm going to go from PAI Reports, our homepage. There are a couple ways we can start the process. One way is right here on our speed dial add ATM button. I can click that and then select our processor. Or because I've added it to my top bar up here, my bookmarks, I can click wizard and then add terminal. And that brings me to the exact same spot. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to build a terminal. I know I want it on FIS. I'm going to go ahead and select FIS here, and then that kicks us right into the first step. Like I said, this is a restaurant. The first step of the wizard is going to be creating location. Now, if this was like a pre-existing account of mine and I was just building a new terminal, maybe they're getting a second ATM in there, or maybe they had an ownership change and I want to get a new terminal number for that, I could go ahead and hit find business, search this, and it pulls up any of our pre-existing locations. And I could hit select here and you can see it pulls it in. It's a new business of mine. I'm going to go ahead and hit create new business. And now we kind of just jump straight into building that business. This is a restaurant, and luckily the name of that restaurant is Test Restaurant. And the address is 124 Main Street, and that's in Billings, Montana, 59101. So once we have the name of the business, the street address, the city, state, and zip typed in, we can go ahead and hit next. We're going to be building kind of what type of business this is. We have to report this stuff, and so I always recommend people to choose the one that best fits the type of business you're in. So we have the NAICS sector and category. So since this is a restaurant, once I click on this sector, we can see we have a whole list of possibilities here. So this is a restaurant, I said. So that's going to be underneath accommodation and food services. And then for our category, we get to further define what type of business this is. So I'm going to change that from accommodation. We have drinking places, we have food services, and full service restaurant. Well, that fits the description that I'm looking for, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that. Now we're going to choose which time zone this ATM is going to be placed in. So Billings, Montana is in Mountain Time, so I'm going to select that. We do have one here for Arizona. I actually hear this a lot. Why do we have Arizona? Arizona, I believe, is one of the only states, if not the only state, that doesn't do daylight savings time. But so we're going to go ahead and select Mountain, keep that consistent here. Go ahead and hit next. And then now we're going to be building out our contact information. So the owner of that restaurant, his name is Austin Bergen, and his phone number is 406-123-1234. He's a great guy. I don't want to go ahead and put in an email. If we did have his email address, I could type it in there. In this case, he didn't supply it to me, so we don't need to worry about it. The only thing that we really need is a phone number and a first and last name for him. Hit next. Do I want this test restaurant to receive a monthly statement? Well, he is not actually earning any of the surcharge, so in this case, I don't need to. If he was and I wanted to supply him a monthly statement, I could type in his email address right there and then choose what type of statement he wants. So he's not getting paid, so I'm not going to show him a statement. We're going to hit next. And then next is that tax information. So this business is not earning any sort of income from the terminal, so I don't need to worry about collecting any sort of tax documents. If he was receiving some income, especially like monthly surcharge, and we'll touch on what the difference between daily and monthly is, but if he was getting like monthly surcharge, I would need to collect a W-9 from him. So we don't have that. It is an optional piece to this. And then now I can go ahead and hit create business, or previous to go back and change anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that business. Now we have our location built. Location position is a optional thing. We don't need to select that. I could type in here like left of door. If they have like a bunch of different ATMs in that same business, I could type in that text field there to just help identify which machine it is. The only other thing on this page that is required is you have to tell us if it's a seasonal location or if it's open year-round. In most cases, these locations are open year-round, but if you were to get like a summer camp and that summer camp was only open in June and July, we could go ahead and type that in. Like I said, most of the time, your ATMs are not going to be seasonal. They're going to be year-round, so I'm going to go ahead and select no. Same thing down here. This is an optional thing for us. So if this is a pre-existing terminal, you can see here that PAI partners are receiving $10 for converting terminals from one processor to another. If, let's say this business was on CDS and the terminal was C12345 and it was on CDS, I could type that in here and potentially qualify for a $10 incentive for bringing that terminal over to FIS. In this case, it's not a pre-existing terminal, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit no. Okay, so now we have our location step fully completed. I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and that brings us to building out what type of ATM this is. How is it communicating to us? Is it EMV compliant? So this machine is going to be connecting to the location's internet. Could select wireless if it was on like a PAI wireless box, or if the location had a phone line and the ATM was going to go through dial-up, I could do that as well. But it is on the location's internet. Card reader type is a EMV card reader. Most ATMs nowadays are EMV card readers, but you still run into the occasional ATM out there that hasn't been upgraded. I highly suggest you do upgrade that, but if in the rare case that it hasn't, you can select non-EMV reader. My buddy's given me a Gen Mega 2500, so I'm going to go ahead and select Gen Mega, and then from the list of models, 2500. Like I said before, this is a fully EMV compliant machine. So now that we have our machine type selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit next, and we get to determine what type of denomination I, as the cash loader, am going to be putting in. We can see number of cassettes. I can add cassettes here. In this case, it's just a single cassette machine. It is going to have 20s in it. I can select 1s, 5s, 10s, 50s, and 100s besides the 20. But it is going to have 20s in it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now, the next step here, the user access step, is optional, completely optional, but in the off chance that the location wanted to have a username built, I could go through and create a new user for our test restaurant here. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. Since they're not getting paid on this deal, I don't really see a reason for them to have access to PAI reports. So I'm going to go ahead and hit no new access. Hit next, and then now we get to start choosing like where do we want that vault cash to deposit, which bank account. So like I said earlier, in this deal that I worked out, I am the cash loader. Since I've already worked with my sales rep and got my business online, they already went through and built my vault cash account, my surcharge account. So I should just be able to hit select, and then bam, there it is. There is my test bank account here. Like, let's say the merchant is loading this machine. I can hit create and then go through the process of actually creating that bank account. But since mine is already built, I'm just going to go ahead and select that. So again, I'm going to hit select. There's the bank account I want to use. There's the last four and the routing number. And then I'm going to hit the check mark. And it's going to ask us if we want to use this vault cash account for all of the different kind of fee accounts. We have vault cash deposits, we have adjustments and reggies. Reggies and adjustments are similar. So if a reggie, if a card holder claims that the machine didn't dispense the cash, where do I want FIS to repull that out? Some people have their own kind of separate bank accounts built for those type of fees. We have EMV fees. So again, if my machine wasn't EMV compliant and I got hit with an EMV fallback, or not fallback, EMV charge from the processor. Those charges can be pretty steep, which is why I recommend you upgrade your machine to EMV. And then also here, the crypto vault cash account. So if I end up putting this machine in like LibertyX or B4U, where do I want them to deposit my vault cash? So I do want to use this bank account for all of those, and so I'm just going to hit yes. If I accidentally hit yes and I actually wanted to switch some things up, I can always hit no here again and then choose a new bank account for those fees. So we have our vault cash here. This step is now complete, and we're going to hit next. And so I agreed with the location that the surcharge was going to be $3. Like I said earlier, since I'm borrowing my buddy's machine, I'm going to pay him $1, and then I'm going to collect the rest of it. Right up here where it says fixed amount, we have where we're going to type in our total surcharge. So our total surcharge is going to be $3. Now I know my buddy wants to get $1, and so you can see here I can type in $1. It's still red, and it's red because I need to distribute the remainder of our surcharge, which in this case is $2. So I'm going to be collecting the rest of that. So I'm going to add a new split, and I'm going to do $2. Now my buddy wanted to get paid that surcharge daily. I can select monthly or by check. Monthly, he'll get that deposit once a month. So that surcharge is just going to rack up, and then one deposit a month into his bank account. But he wanted to receive that daily, so I'm going to go ahead and select daily here. I already got access to his bank account in this case. If you have a scenario like this where you need to have access to someone else's bank account so you can pay them, I highly suggest you work with our market partner support team. I'm going to go ahead, find his bank account here. We have ATM help and his bank account and his routing number here. That is the business that I'm going to be paying, ATM help here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select. So now he is all set up for his $1 daily per transaction fee. And then now I just need to add my surcharge split here. So I'm the $2 one here. I'm going to go ahead and select my surcharge bank account, which is right here. I'm going to hit the select button, and then there we go. We have all of our splits here. Now you can add, I believe it's up to 4 splits for our daily surcharge. Now, if I switch this to monthly, I can add any given number. There are some occasional times where people have some pretty complicated surcharge splits. Typically, it's like 1, 2, 3 splits on a surcharge. So there's the surcharge. We got that built. I'm paying my buddy $1 per transaction for letting me borrow his machine. And then I am getting the remainder of that surcharge, the $2. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And then that brings us to one of the last steps here, which is the program participation. This is where you can start earning some additional revenue based off of those programs. And that additional revenue that we can get here, where do we want that to pay into? To select where we want that money to deposit into. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose a charge account, and I'm going to select my bank account that we already built. Hit select there. So now any of the additional revenue generated should be going into this bank account that I selected. So now we get to go through all of these different programs. I'm going to do a quick, brief explanation on exactly what each of the programs is. I believe one of the first live streams that we did was dedicated to just talking and going more in depth on what each of these programs are, but I'm just going to go very surface level and talk about them. We have them kind of broken up into these sections. So we have cardless cash, international, surcharge free, classification, and then a feature. So for our cardless cash programs, that's not like NFC. It's not like they can walk up and just tap the card or use their iPhone or Android. These are for apps to cash. Popmoney and Mastercard cash pickup. Popmoney is a big one that some banks will use. And so some banks will say they'll give you like a 10-digit code. And with that 10-digit code, you can walk up to an ATM, type it in, and it spits out the cash. Mastercard pickup is very similar. If I did want to sign up for Popmoney, you can see I haven't signed up for it. I can hit the sign up button, and it's going to pull up a little addendum. The addendum goes through, and it kind of explains what the program is and some other things about that program. Once I've read that, I can hit I agree to the terms and then save acknowledgement. And so now I can see that I'm signed up for Popmoney. and I can opt in to the program, or no change would be I'm not going to opt into that program. So you can see each of these programs pay out a different amount. So like for a Popmoney transaction, it's a $3 credit. Mastercard cash pickup, I think, is a little bit less. We're not going to sign up for Mastercard cash pickup just right now, but we're going to go off to our international programs. International, the only one that we have is DCC. DCC stands for Direct Currency Conversion. So it allows people from foreign countries to come over and use your ATM, but pay in their own currency. So if somebody from Mexico comes up and uses your ATM, they're going to convert peso to US dollar. And you're going to collect on top of whatever they withdraw from the machine. So I am going to sign up for that. Billings, Montana is a huge international travel location. It's not really, but in this case, we are going to sign up for DCC. So I've read that addendum. I'm going to go ahead and hit acknowledge, and you can see that it is a 3.5% credit. So I get 3.5% of whatever they withdraw from that machine. I am going to opt into that program. It's a great, it's an easy thing to turn on at the machine, and it can be very profitable for some people. Now, surcharge free, this is where we kind of get into a little bit of a debate. Allpoint, USAA, and MoneyPass, those are surcharge free networks that you can put onto your machine. The idea behind them is you put no surcharge for those transactions, but it actually increases your transaction volume. So USAA, if somebody has a USAA branded card and they want to avoid surcharge, USAA has an app for that, and they can pull up the app and see all of the ATMs nearby that have a zero surcharge for them. And so you can make it so somebody that wouldn't have used your ATM did use your ATM. And all of these have surcharge reimbursement, it's called. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up for USAA, and we can see that I get a $1.50 credit for every USAA transaction. Now, it's not surcharge, but it is a surcharge kind of reimbursement to me. So I can, instead of getting zero surcharge for this transaction, I can actually take the transaction and get a little bit extra of a credit. So yeah, that's kind of the basis of surcharge free. Classification, this really isn't a value-added product. It's not something that's going to earn you more revenue, but this is a place where you can tell us if it's a cannabis dispensary. We are allowed to process ATMs in cannabis dispensaries, but if you don't tell us it's a cannabis dispensary and we find out that it's in a cannabis dispensary, it seems like something shady is going on, so we have to turn off the terminal. So just be upfront with us. Tell us that it is in a cannabis dispensary. This one is in a restaurant, our little test business that I'm building here, so it is not in a dispensary. But as long as you tell us that it's in a dispensary, it's not going to get shut off for being a dispensary. So that's what the classification is. Now, these are kind of thought more as features of processing with PAI, not necessarily programs or networks. So we have B for You, LibertyX Cash Out, and then LibertyX Purchase. Those three are our Bitcoin cryptocurrency products. So B for You and LibertyX Purchase allow people to purchase Bitcoins. And then we also have LibertyX Cash Out, which means they're selling Bitcoins in exchange for cash. And each of those programs pay out. So like LibertyX Purchase, if I put LibertyX Purchase on my machine, but I get a certain percentage of whatever they purchase in Bitcoins. I'm not going to sign up for it just yet. We're going to move on to our other products, but LibertyX, B for You, both of those, if you want to do the cryptocurrency exchange stuff, they can be very profitable, depending on obviously the price of whatever they're purchasing. Okay, so let's move on. Surcharge segmentation. I'm kind of doing these out of order, but surcharge segmentation is a way for me to charge an extra fee for cash advanced transactions. The cash advance transaction is a transaction, like if I use a credit card and I go to the machine and I want to do a cash advance, I'm pulling money out of my line of credit. That's a cash advance transaction. I can charge an extra fee. It can be $1, $2, $3, and then you can even go higher than that. Typically, when it comes to surcharge segmentation, I don't recommend anybody really go above $1 or even $2. Once you start getting up to the $3 extra charge or $4 or $5, you start seeing that cause extra issues. Card holders will probably do the transaction, but not be very happy and maybe not revisit your ATM. But for an extra $1 or an extra $2, you can kind of keep them happy enough, but also still profit on the side. So that's what surcharge segmentation is. The last program here is eRMS. eRMS, it stands for Remote Monitoring Service. So all of the different ATM manufacturers, they have their own RMS service out there. So like Gen Mega is Gen RMS, Hyosun is Monteview. We've integrated with all those systems, and we actually allow you to remotely adjust settings at your machine, but from PAI reports. So in this case, I do want to put it on eRMS. So you can see once I pop that up, it actually throws me a little programming guide, because there is some things that I need to type in at the machine to make that work. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to acknowledge this agreement. And so now I'm opting in the eRMS, I'm opting in the surcharge segmentation, and then I am opting in to DCC. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. And there's going to be some additional things that I need to think about. So like our DCC, of that 3.5%, do I want to share that revenue? Does anybody else need to get a split of that revenue? In this case, in this deal, I don't want to share this revenue. I want to collect 100% of that 3.5%. So I'm not going to share the revenue. But if I was, there's this button here, share revenue. And then here I can start adding splits where I can do like, I'm going to go, it's a 50-50 split. So I'm 50% here into this bank account, 50% to me. In this case, like I said, I want to get 100% of that DCC revenue. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Next up is our USAA. Of that 150 credit, that surcharge reimbursement, do I want to split that? Does my buddy, who I'm borrowing the machine from, does he need to still profit on that? I'm going to say no, but I would want to have that conversation with them. So I'm just going to share none of it. I'm going to keep it all. Hit next here, and then now we are on our final step here. We have fully built the terminal. Now it just comes down to reviewing what we've built and then confirming that we want to build it. So I can see we have our test business here. We can see that we're building the test restaurant. I can see the address here. I can see the owner's name. I can see that it's a Gen Mega 2500 and it is set up for EMV. I can see that in our first cassette, we did put 20s. No additional access was granted because we didn't go through there and build another username. I can verify that my account number here is correct. And I can see all of the different fees that I selected that I want to deposit into that account. I can see and verify our surcharge. The max surcharge is $3, and then I can see our splits here. So my friends over there at ATM Help, I split $1 to them. And then I'm going to be collecting the rest of that, which is $2. There's the bank accounts. And then I can see all of the different programs that I enrolled into. Things to really double check before building the terminal. I want to verify that my Vault Cash account is correct, and I want to verify my surcharge splits. Those are the main things that you want to really look at. I would almost recommend every time, even if you're 100% sure you did it right, just double check. It never hurts to double check. So yeah, that all looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to say that I agree and I want to submit this. Once I hit that, we're going to get our terminal number. It did go through and it did submit, and I can see that we have a terminal number. So that terminal number is up and it's running. It's ready to be used, and I can click on that terminal number. I'm just going to open it up in a new tab. But I can take that terminal number, I can go to my machine, and I can program it in and start doing transactions right away. This is the terminal that we have just built. We can see that we're looking at it. We have our terminal number there. There's our business. Here's all of the information, like the GenMega 2500. We can see the vault cash accounts are all there, and our surcharge splits. So that terminal is ready to be used and ready to be programmed. And we could start earning surcharge and revenue off this terminal immediately. So that is our Add Terminal Wizard. Next week, we're actually going to go through and modify this terminal. So that's going to be our next week's video. But keep in mind, these are recorded and they are posted to our YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button so you can get notified in the future of any other live streams. Also, you can review on our YouTube channel. You can review any of the past live streams that we have done. You can share them with whoever you'd like to share. And right here, I've gone ahead and thrown up my email address. And if you have any concerns or comments or anything for future videos, or if you want to sign up for a interview with us, we'd love to talk with you about your ATM portfolio. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and end it. And you guys have a good weekend. Thanks.